Oh, God. That's outrageous.
You gonna share?
No. This is like dumb good. You need to try this. You need to come to London and try this dish. I'm in London, home to the famous red phone boxes, Big Ben, and the royal family. British food and the weather have long been a punching bag for many of our European neighbours. But times have changed, and in fact, today I'd argue that London is the greatest food and drink city on the planet, and a sunny one at that. With influences from every corner of the globe, London's culinary scene reflects its incredible diversity. With over 300 languages now spoken here, this city has become a delicious mashup of cultures, cuisines, and energies, and we are absolutely here for it. In this episode, I'm going to be experiencing the vibrant world of flavors that can be found in this city. And although there are simply too many incredible places to feature everywhere and everyone we love, we'll do our best to shine a light on all of those who are very much part of the fabric of this wonderful city I call home. Welcome to East London, the place where I've lived, worked and played for many years. Home not only to me, but to many of our bars and the place where it all started for the Lyan family. East London has a little bit of everything, from craft breweries to drag brunches, hidden community gardens to underground music venues. If you want to find the cutting edge of everything, you can find it here. You just need to know where to look. First stop is Tayēr Elementary, owned by Alex Cortina and Monica Berg, two legends of the scene who have come to London and created a space that has been consistently voted in the top 10 bars in the world since opening its doors in 2019. There are two parts to it. Tayēr is a creative cocktail lab, and Elementary is for casual craft classics. The drinks are one of the key parts of the experience here, and one of the ones I think you become most famous for, and I can't ever come in without having it, is obviously the one-sip martini, right?
Yeah.
This is one of the key drinks.
Okay.
Always a pleasure. It's so good.
That's why it's called a one sip.
Yeah.
The idea was that here in Elementary, where we're sitting now, this is the neighborhood hangout. Yeah. Our interpretation of modern neighborhood bar. So you get your classics very fast. So you can grab a nice beer, glass of wine, and you can have a good food with it.
It's a joy as well. Like light flooding in this side. You're catching up with friends post work. You can't beat that, right?
Yeah. The light gives you all the reasons why to be drinking during the day, and don't feel guilty about it.
Well, that's very wonderful.
Tayēr comes from Spanish and it means workshop.
Yeah.
And it's just giving people the opportunity to be part of this whole process of creating the drinks.
Absolutely.
And we want you to be, open-minded and try something new. Originally, I'm from Oslo, Norway. Yeah. I've been in London now for 13 years. And I do find in London the fact that, you can have a bar full of people and each of those people comes from a different culture.
Yeah, it's so special. And was it always going to be London as a place then? Could it have been anywhere else?
I don't think it could be anywhere else, to be honest. This bar is a clear result of the time, place, and space.
Absolutely. And I think there's something about this area and the way that it embraces difference. And you do some, really cutting edge things, and you need an audience that understands that and embraces it, and East London's very much that.
What is it?
Mint Magnums. One of the other great things about London is that you can drink in public spaces, be that on the go, or if you want to be able to head to one of London's many parks. So you can head to a local store, pick up something delicious, and you're allowed to be able to drink it in public. You're just not allowed to drink on public transport. So delicious. Now I'm going to take you to a super fun little spot. We're in London Fields in Hackney in East London. And this is a great little bar that has £3 mystery shots, killer Guinness, and honky-tonk music on a Tuesday. So Greg, we're at Rasputin's.
We are.
So where did the name and the focus, and because it's got like such a distinct character to it?
I think the name Rasputin is just like 100% ripped from a film. Like it was a bar in a film. I think the neighbourhood needed a chill bar.
Yeah.
You know, like cheap pints and cheap martinis and, you know, like good music.
It's got elements of taking like American dive bar, but it's also like its own character.
Yeah, it whittles out anyone who's not going to get it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's inconspicuous. You walk past it without noticing.
Yeah.
And then, the people who like it really like it.
Yeah.
We've been so lucky it's been popular.
Now, you may not know this, but London is where I call home. And there's so many great bars and friends doing incredible things here. So here are some of my favorites. If you want to hit pause, you can jot them down and visit when you're next in London. After a big night out, you need to be able to hit a food spot. And thankfully, there's lots of great options. And the beautiful thing is, all of the neighborhoods of London have their own speciality, be it South Asian food in Tooting, Caribbean food in Brixton, West African in Peckham, or my favorite, Chinese food in Chinatown. But there's also another super popular food that is excellent all across London, and that's Turkish food. How are you, brother? Good, yeah. I mean, the lamb ribs are always good, but I might have to do the classic. I'm gonna do a chicken sheesh. So this is Mangal 1. It's an institution of East London. Beauty of being able to come here, yes, you can grab a takeaway, but this is one of the original joints that's been here for decades. You can sit in the back, you can bring your own beer, really affordable, but it's super delicious. So you can see the skewers, they go on the Akoko. You get this amazing smoke coming up as it's starting to char, the oils drip down, but they put the breads over the top. So it soaks in all of those aromas and it captures that kind of wonderful kind of smoky edge to everything. And don't just take my word for it, listen to the local connoisseurs.
Is it recording? Is it on? Yeah, we give a restaurant in London without a doubt. If you go here though, ask for the bread to be smoked on the grill, like yeah. And the platter for two, get it between two, and that will do the job. And here's number one.
So these guys are super busy, and it's a perfect thing to be able to grab when you've had a couple of drinks, you're heading out on the end of a night out. But this kind of like re-challenges this idea that late night food can't be excellent. This is all about something that's made with care, done with real passion, and is super delicious. I mean, it's everything you need. Perfectly grilled meat, smoky from the Akoko, sharp pickles, aromatic herbs. This is crazy delicious. It's perfect after a night out. If you were to ask around the world what alcohol is associated with London, experts would say it's gin. Ever since the gin craze of the 18th century, it's remained hugely popular and a product associated with the Brits. However, this is not a product born of our shores. Like many great things, it's been originally imported and uses ingredients from around the world to really bring it to life. So I'm here to learn from a very dear friend and meet the oldest gin-making family in the world. I'm at Thames Distillers, home of Fords Gin.
Ryan, how's it going, man?
So good to see you.
What's going on?
So excited to actually finally be able to make it down.
Yep, the 10th invite.
Yeah.
On cue.
I know. Yeah.
I get to make you a cocktail and show you how to make gin. And before you know it, you think, I'll have another gin and tonic. And I'll be like, no, Ryan, we've got to go and learn how to make gin.
Actually see some gin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Should we jump in and have a look?
Yeah, perfect.
Very excited.
It's done. Love it. Welcome to the bar.
Thank you.
And it is my pleasure to introduce you to 10th generation gin distiller, Charles Maxwell, the man that was crazy enough to take my phone call and make Fords Gin with me.
Legendary. We should probably have a drink, right? Like that would
Yes.
actually be a good way to kick off.
What can I get you?
Maybe Negroni.
Negroni.
Gin and tonic.
Cheers.
Yeah. Oh.
Your good health. Thank you very much. First of the day. What is only what? Never mind.
I got to be honest, I never wanted to do a gin. And a bartender by the name of Sasha Petrosky owns one of New York's most famous bars at the time, Milk and Honey, is the person that sort of challenged me to make a gin.
Yeah.
You know, little did I know that like within 4 years there'll be 3,000 new gins, right? Like here, I'm talking about the period when there's 10. Yes. And so when he was thinking about gin, it came really from the mind of a bartender.
Yeah.
And so here we are, writing on the backs of napkins. What was amazing about this moment is sort of we get to this place where we've got these cocktail napkins and concepts, and we realized at that point, hang on a minute, we don't have a distillery. We're not distillers. You know, I remember I wanted to be in a band when I was 12, but I was like, do you play an instrument? I'm like, no. It was a bit like, I went back to my, like that moment. And that was when I picked up the phone and Charles answered. At that moment, we were like, oh, this is great. We're having this really intellectual conversation with someone that really knows gin, can translate the ideas we have on paper into what will be a liquid. Let's go make this liquid. If only it had been that simple, right?
Well, it would have been, but he was bloody picky.
My father always says that Simon was comfortably the most fussy customer that he's ever had to deal with. And I believe in the end they went through 87 different variations on the recipe. So yeah, it's great. And you know, he brought new ideas to us. So we always say that we believe that Fords Gin was the first gin to incorporate jasmine. And that was an idea that came from Simon. And that's a great example of finding a new flavor that works in a different way that, you know, you didn't really think about before.
So you kind of realize that actually the magic that happens in the still is very different to just thinking about these as individual botanicals.
I always like to think that when you make a gin, it's a little bit like making a stew, and they've got 4 or 5 hours to bubble away against each other, and that does something different every time. And as you say, if you move just one botanical, it might do something strange to something else that's in the flavor map as well.
And these are, you know, compared to seeing some of the kind of copper stills you might see around whiskey making, you don't need that copper extraction, right? So
no, gin distillation is actually a bit of a misnomer. So when we're making gin, we're doing something called rectification. We're using alcohol to extract flavor. And what that means is we don't need to work with copper because we start with a neutral spirit, and therefore we need the most neutral metal. So we have stainless steel. And this still, Tom Thumb, actually we're very proud of Tom Thumb. It's a still made by a company called John Daw. John Daw are the archetypal London gin still manufacturer. So during the 19th century, they were the people you went to if you wanted the best gin stills. This still here, made in March 1984, is actually...
just a month older than me, it's crazy.
is the very last still that was made by John Daw themselves.
Wow. We like to say that the botanicals in Fords were thoughtfully chosen to enhance cocktails. It was listening to bartenders, me listening to a 10th generation distiller and trying to sort of create a gin.
But I think there's a beauty of like that different layers of collaboration. As you say, talking with the bartenders, there's a set of expertise there, but it's not just about understanding the flavors. You need to know how to bring it to life and how does that balance? Does it work? Does it harmonize? Is that going to open out in a certain way? All of that technical expertise that you need somebody with as much experience as Charles has.
And the key part of this was to take the gins that Charles made and test them in cocktails before we set on a formula, because a lot of these gins tasted great on their own, neat, but now we had to make sure it's sung in a martini, you know, came through in a gin and tonic, worked with lime citrus in a gimlet, worked with lemon citrus in a Tom Collins.
It's like trying, you know, if you're just trying it neat, it's like trying eggs to understand how to make an omelette. And, you know, yes, of course, you can taste it and understand your ingredients is really important, but this is how it's going to be manifested. And that is the beauty of gin. It's versatility, it's diversity of serves, right? So you do need to be able to test it in lots of different applications. Thinking about this being a bartender's gin, you know, it's really very much kind of like into the kind of ergonomics of it as well. You know, it fits in the way that you're like, this is what you want as a bartender. It's where you want to be able to hold it.
You know, it was just sort of continuing the philosophy of having that sort of co-creation and listening to the people that we were essentially creating the gin for.
Understanding the Fords story and how every component has been created with the bartender in mind is amazing to see. However, as always, it comes to my favorite part of the day, finding out how it tastes.
We can get these unbelievably
Oh my God, wow.
Yeah.
Simon, it's amazing being able to see how the gin's made, and you can kind of understand all that's gone into creating such a, like, all of that balance that is in Fords Gin. But the ultimate test of a gin is a martini, right? Like there's nothing to hide behind.
I couldn't agree with you more. I like to say that the martini is the most sophisticated way of doing 4 shots of gin in one go. Anyway, how do you like your martini?
So there's lots of different martinis you can order, and you might hear a couple of different bits of terminology that are really good to know. A martini is a combination of gin or vodka and a dry vermouth. But you might hear terminology such as a wet martini or a dry martini, and this simply refers to the ratio of your spirit to that vermouth. Now, a dry martini simply means there's a higher proportion of gin to vermouth. And you want that dry vermouth to be an interplay with the gin botanicals. The harmony of the two is what makes the drink so magical. That's why I love a wet martini, a higher proportion of the vermouth coming into play. But the other thing you can customize is the garnish itself. I like to go a little greedy. I have a twist and an olive. You can have that little expression of the oils from the lemon skin over the top, or you can have olives as that little kind of savory counterbite. But you can also use a touch of that olive brine if you want to make a dirty martini. But one of the other ones that you might hear about is having it garnished with a pickled onion. Now this leads to a style called a Gibson, and it's a really beautiful version that gives this slight little tang at the end from that sharpness from the onion. Now, the other thing that's often debated is whether you want to shake or stir your martini, and I'm going to fully advocate for always stirring it. By shaking it, you add way more dilution and you add aeration into the mix, and spreading the gin and the vermouth out too far ends up kind of giving a slightly muddier profile to the drink. So having it clean, crisp, it ends up being the perfect aperitif. It's why it's the ultimate cocktail.
Well, the great news is here's one I made earlier.
Great way of doing it, right?
I am an absolute fan of the batch martini.
Yeah.
I think I might have learned it from you, to be honest.
I always talk about martinis being one of life's perfect moments. You know, catch up with a dear friend. There's something about it as a little pause, the way that it kind of like, it just kind of focuses everything in the most wonderful way. Beautiful.
It is, it's that moment of magic. Cheers.
Cheers, brother. Always a pleasure. At the end of the episode, I'm going to be creating a cocktail inspired by all the things that we've seen and learned around the city, using ingredients and techniques I've picked up along the way. Simon's kindly gifted me this bottle of Fords Gin. This is going to provide the beautiful base for the cocktail. I'm now south of the Thames in a borough called Southwark, home to the 1,000-year-old borough market and Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. But there's something else I want to show you. Now, let me introduce you to one of Britain's best-kept culinary secrets, the Desi pub. It's where classic British pub culture meets the bold, vibrant flavors of South Asia. The result? A delicious marriage of cultures where you can find some great flavors, and this one is a classic. We're at the Gladstone Arms. Hi Megan. How are you?
Welcome back, Ryan. How
Love
are
to see
you?
you. Really well.
Lovely to see you too. Can I get you a drink?
I would love an IPA.
Perfect.
That'd be great. So an IPA, or an India Pale Ale, is a style of beer brewed with slightly more hops and a more pronounced bitterness. It was a style of beer created in Britain in the 1700s to send to troops in India. And it was brewed with extra hops to act as a natural preservative on the long voyage across the seas. So pubs are obviously very storied places, and this has been here for quite some years, right?
Yeah, so the pub itself, it was formed in 1862.
Amazing.
So it's like hundreds and hundreds of years old. And since then, it's gone through many different iterations. One of the most beautiful things about the pub is that Charles Dickens, as a child, used to lodge on Land Street, which is where this pub is located. And he actually referred to the pub in his book, The Pickwick Papers. So, you know, it's amazing. The history is really ingrained in this
It's seeped into the space, right? And it's also great to be part of that journey into, you know, what it was historically into the modern day. Must be so lovely.
Absolutely, yeah. As you know, like pubs are an integral part of, you know, the British community and the fabric of the community. It's where people find, you know, home.
Taste buds tingling, it's time to grab some food with my guest, David Jesudasan, who's an expert on the culture of Desi pubs. David, cheers.
Cheers.
We have quite the spread here.
Yeah,
This
it
is
looks
beautiful.
good, doesn't it? Look good.
I also love that it's like the real marriage of traditional pub fare with pie and chips, but it's with those kind of South Asian flavours.
That's right, yeah. A real fusion of Indianness and Britishness.
Absolutely. And, you know, this idea of the Desi pubs is something very close to your heart, right? You've not only written a book on this, you've done a documentary talking about kind of, I suppose, this explosion of a really important part of British culture.
Yeah, I mean, first ever Desi pub was set up in 1962.
Amazing.
You know, they've been going for a long time. They've just been there under people's noses. They've been not spoken about, not written about, but now we're celebrating them.
I mean, I suppose it's in the food. Chicken tikka masala being the most kind of like almost the national dish of the country now. It's great to see these flavours and these spaces kind of really capture the mindset of modern Britain.
Yeah, and I think also it's a really important part of Indian culture.
Right.
You know, the idea of Desi means homeland in Sanskrit, referring to India, but Desi culture is like inviting someone into your home.
Yeah.
And that's very much what pubs are like, isn't
Absolutely.
it? Where you're being invited into someone's living room.
Yeah. This is wonderful, by the way. I hope your pie's just as good as mine. Really good.
Yeah, it's banging, mate.
Of course, there's heaps of great pubs in London, and here are some of my favourites. If you want to hit the pause button, you can jot down some of the list. Mornings in London usually begin at a pace, with the city waking up early to crack on with a busy day. Commuters commuting, markets trading, but we all know to start a busy day, you need to have a proper breakfast. And I'm going to show you a great spot to grab some great scran. Bakeries have been a part of London life since Roman times. Archaeological digs in the city of London have even uncovered ancient millstones and ovens. Recently, there's been a modern baking boom where you can find everything from high-end patisseries to artisan sourdough spots. And this is one of the food scene's most cult spots. This is Bake Street. Please tell us a bit about Bake Street, because this has become such a iconic space for London and its food scene. You know, in amongst loads of great bakeries, you have queues around the block and you have lots of people making the journey here, but that's not started from like nothing.
Yeah, we've been around, this is our 10th year. We evolve sort of according to what we want to eat, which is what drives our menu. And yeah, it's just fun. Like we're really creative with what we do, and we really try to make sure that if something doesn't sell, the team wants to eat it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like that's more important to us than making sure that we're following the next trend. So things that go wild on, you know, social media or cause queues, that's really something that is a nice surprise to see happen, but it's not what drives what we do.
So in terms of, you know, the diversity on the menu, there's clearly quite a few different kind of inspirations, and I presume some of that's coming from your own background as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's the background of the owners as well. They're from Gujarat, so we have a lot of menu items, like the mangoes we use for our soft serve. They actually come from a family farm in Gujarat. They are shipped here and we process. It's a
peak summer, goodness that is.
But for me, I'm from Los Angeles. My family has Mexican and Chinese heritages. Los Angeles is like such an international city. So when I moved here to London, now it's better. There's like tons of places you can go. But I found it really difficult to find the foods I was craving, and so I started making them myself. And then Bake Street was a place where I was able to do that even more, which was a lot of fun.
It's the story of London and food as well, right? Like
exactly.
how wonderful.
So this is our creme brulee cookie. I'd say this is probably our first viral item. It is just like a standard cookie. And then in the middle is a creme pat that, when it gets baked, is still soft. So like,
holy moly.
Yeah, so like a creme brulee. And then we sugar the tops, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna brulee them.
I'm super excited.
All right, are you ready to burn some cookies?
Yes, that sounds excellent. Oh God, that's so satisfying. Oh, it really does crack.
Yeah.
Oh God. That's outrageous.
You gonna share?
No. Oh man. I mean, the cookie itself is also spectacular, but
Thank you.
It's like salty, but you get that lovely kind of, I mean, it really plays the name, right? Creme brulee, that rich creaminess, but with the contrast of that, like, you know, burnt sugar note.
Yeah, yeah.
This is like stupendous. Talking about stuff that like demonstrates like the great aspects of London's kind of food scene at the moment. It's, as you say, lots of influences from everywhere, care for what you're doing, but also just like, there is a particular twist to this that feels so London.
Yeah, it's a bit irreverent, like, there's kind of like a tradition involved with it, but also, you know, we're having fun with it.
fruit and vegetable shops have long been a colourful cornerstone of London life. From Victorian market stalls to today's greengrocers, these places are much more than just shops. They're community hubs. London is an amalgamation of lots of little neighbourhoods, and you get these wonderful pockets where you get things like a great butcher's, a greengrocer's, and a fishmonger's alongside each other. I need to do a cocktail at the end of the show, so I'm going to dive in here and pick up some produce. I used to love coming to this shop because it really had both the best of British as well as some kind of wonderful produce that's been sourced from around the world. You know, we've got wonderful kind of heritage tomatoes coming in from France and from Spain. There's also things from South Asia. We've got some incredible Pakistani mangoes here. We have things from the Dominican Republic. We have West African ingredients. But some of the favorite things that I love that I think that are grown here in Britain, you know, things like these kind of beautiful plums. Again, a real celebration of some of the British flavors. I mean, these smell incredible. One of my favorites is the currants. These in particular, British blackcurrants. They've got this wonderful balance of like this pop of acidity, this kind of incredible vibrancy, but this concentration of flavor that I think really celebrates what we grow in the most wonderful way. I've managed to pick up some killer ingredients. They're going to be a great base for my cocktail at the end of the show. But I've also been able to pick up a couple of extra bits. I'm going to create something a little different. So we do a shake and drink based on the espresso martini. The espresso martini was created here in the 80s by Dick Bradsell. And I wanted to do something that was a little bit of a non-alcoholic nod to that, looking at some of the ingredients that felt very much reflective of London as a place. We brewed the wonderful coffee that the Bake Street team gave us. We're even able to grab some of the kind of side bits of the bread that they use for making sandwiches at Bake Street. And this is the base for making a really interesting style of non-alcoholic ingredient called kvass. So 30 mils or 1 shot of espresso. And to that, we've made a syrup just by steeping in with the currants, some black currants and some red currants, and also these incredible plum varieties. We're gonna use 15 mils or a tablespoon of that to add some sweetness and some acidity, alongside 20 mils of our spiced tea, of ginger, nutmeg, and some thyme. And we're gonna shake all these elements together, and then we're gonna layer it into a cold glass alongside our kvass. So, take lots of ice, because what we want to do is use all of those kind of wonderful proteins within the coffee to trap in the air. It's gonna give us that lovely foam that we know in an espresso martini. So, good shake. Take a nice cold glass, and we're gonna add our kvass already into the bottom. So we're gonna use 2 shots of 50 mils of our kvass, and we're gonna strain our coffee, fruit, and spiced tea mixture over the top. And then to finish as a garnish, to nod to some of those kind of accents that we saw when we were chatting with Mega at the Gladstone Arms, a little bit of spice coming through from cocoa powder that's cut with a little touch of garam masala. You've got a bit of fruitiness, you've got some spice, so you end up having a non-alcoholic drink that still has tons of layers of flavor through it. Cheers. Welcome to Soho, a square mile of mayhem where anything can happen, and it probably has. It's a heady mix of late nights, neon lights, but also home to the West End theatre scene. It's a place where 24-hour kebab shops rub shoulders with Michelin-star restaurants. And speaking of the latter, we're gonna head up the road. You're gonna be my date to dinner. Jeff.
How are you?
Pleasure.
How are you?
Thank you so much.
Welcome to the Akoko
Thank you.
kitchen. How are you doing?
Very excited to be in here. I mean, it's such a beautiful room.
Thank you.
But I wish everybody at home could kind of smell what's going on in here, because the kind of range of aromas coming from this kitchen are unbelievable.
Even we are in central of London,
Yeah.
and then being able to have the product that we used to have at home, back home, it's just amazing feeling, you know, like that's really, really nice. So
very excited. But most people in food and drink, they've had like an interesting journey of getting here. What was it for you?
I mean, like I grew up working in different restaurants, like mainly French restaurant. I was working for 2 and 3 Michelin star restaurant.
Yeah.
I have always dreamed, to be honest, to have my mom cuisine at the level of 1, 2, 3 Michelin star.
Yeah.
And now being Akoko is just like a dream come true. for us, the most important is not necessarily about a beautiful dish, because every one of us can create a beautiful dish, but every dish we created must have a meaning. Why we created it, why we're using this product. So it's super important to use the key ingredient that originate from West Africa, and then understand why we created this. So it's really lovely. About journey, but also learning. So that's really make us very happy, because again, from humble products, we're able to make people happy with that. So discovering, understanding is really the key as well as we can.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
So what we're gonna do today, we're gonna make a ojojo.
Their ojojo is made by preparing yam and onions and blitzing with Scotch bonnet chilies. Once you have a batter, it's fried till golden, then served alongside a spiced vegetable medley and topped off with slices of infused apple. So I've been able to spend some time with Chef in the kitchen, understanding all of the care and passion they put into everything here at Akoko. But they kick off with a very special ritual, so I'm really excited to see how we start this beautiful meal.
Hello.
Hello.
So we're going to start with our hand washing ceremony.
Okay.
Which is a culture in West Africa when you go to someone's house. So this is how they ask you to wash your hands. So we're going to start with some spearmint spray. Okay. So I'm just going to ask you to put your hands like this. So this is for you to wet your hands. And then here we have our homemade soap. So it was made with sea salt, rock salt, and also some mint leaves.
Okay.
So yes. So you can just rub your hands together as well. And then here we've got some warm water.
Wow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Amazing. So you can...
Oh, it smells incredible.
Wonderful, it does.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much and have a wonderful time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. So I have a beautiful welcome drink. I have this kind of gorgeous snack that's been made from the yam to kick things off. The consideration, the care, the explosion of flavor. This is something truly remarkable. There are so many great places to eat in London. This is the best food city in the world. But these are some of my favorites. So don't forget to pause so you can jot them down. I've always talked about the fact that this is the greatest food and drink city on the planet. And that's really born of the diversity that exists here. And being able to tour around, see different friends, but also the pioneers who are pushing things forward has been incredible. There's something amazing about the fact that all of these wonderful voices have a seat at the table here. You see them intermingling, and you see what creates this dynamism that you don't find anywhere else on the planet. It's the most multicultural city you'll find, and that is what makes it so great. It's reflected in all of the wonderful things that people are pushing and striving to create. It's been a massive inspiration to me, but seeing that all come together on this trip has been really, really wonderful. Being able to go see Alex and Monica over at Tayēr Elementary, as well as seeing Mataru and the team at Akoko, wonderful vibrancy of ingredients, incredible smells that, felt super intriguing and different to me, but they're also harmonizing it in a way that feels distinctly London. And we saw that really kind of culminate in what we saw down at Thames Distillery visiting the Fords team. Being able to see a product that has been an import to this country, but it's become very much a London character. It's taking some of these incredible elements from around the world, harmonizing them, and making something that is distinctly London in its character. I'm really excited to be able to use this as my base, something that's going to really reflect this idea of bringing different elements together. We've got to keep it in. We're here in my bar Lyaness, which feels a very fitting setting for being able to talk about London and summarize it through a cocktail. But actually all of the ideals that we take on in this bar really represent some of the things that we've seen across London. The idea of taking wonderful and kind of vibrant ingredients and flavors and ideas from around the world and harmonizing them into something that feels really accessible to the every person. So I really wanted to create a drink that celebrated these ideas. And actually one of the drinks that kind of really came to mind was a cocktail that was created here in London, an old gin classic called the Tom Collins. But I wanted to be able to kind of use some of the elements that we saw across our travels. So it's going to be a version of a Tom Collins, pulled out in slightly different directions. And the starting point for that, of course, we'd use some fresh lemon juice. This is there to be able to give us that vibrancy, that kind of citrusy pop. So just under an ounce, 20 mils of our lemon juice. We're also going to use a syrup that's been inspired by the team at Akoko. So we went and saw the team at Newington Green Fruit and Vegetables, and they had this wonderful bounty of things that are not only the best of British, but also ingredients from around the world. And using some of those nods from the team at Akoko, we've got a little bit of those kind of tropical fruit elements, those things that were celebrating the kind of great produce that you can get in West Africa. So we have a bit of some mango, we have some guava in there, we have a bit of citrus to be able to give, again, that layer of vibrancy, but we've also layered it in with some of those spices. We have some thyme alongside some grains of paradise and some chilies. And we're going to use, again, just under an ounce, 20 mils of our syrup. Now, the heart of this drink is very much the gin. And again, it was there to be able to demonstrate this idea of harmonization, being able to pull in these different elements and let them sing in harmony together. So we're going to use 40 mils of this, about an ounce and a half, and we're going to get lots of those layers of complexity. Really, all of this idea of the fruit, spice, the citrusy elements, some of that wonderful kind of juniper pininess at the heart to be able to pull it in different directions. So we're going to shake this with lots of ice. Just going to give this a good quick shake. So a nod to some of those flavors that we found when we were chatting with Mega and the team. We're going to use a touch of some IPA, just under 2 ounces, 50 mils of our beer, just to be able to give a little bit of that extra body to the drink. We're going to just strain our mix of the gin, a wonderful syrup and the lemon. And then we're going to top it with some nicely chilled soda water, just to kind of like lift that wonderful fragrance on the top. We use a touch of some fresh mint alongside a slice of the seasonal blood orange that went into the syrup. It's a wonderful journey that we've been able to be on. We've seen so many brilliant ideas, things that showcase really the best of their scenes across the world. So this drink itself is called the Tapestry Collins, really is about that wonderful idea of richness and diversity framed in the most beautiful way. Cheers. It's really delicious.
Terrible, terrible. I'm digesting a sausage bun.
You must do things in London. Go visit as many pubs as you possibly can.
My advice to anyone coming to London is to drink gin.
Bar.
My favourite bar is Bar Kinky.
The most controversial question, which is shaken or stirred. Some people even ask for it with vodka.
I have no idea where we are. I genuinely don't. Is it the beginning of the night? Ah. Excellent.